Welcome to Actual Play Deathmatch Island, Episode 4, Island 3, Phase 1? We'll see.
Yeah.
Someday we'll... Yes, I think there we are. I am super excited to be back for our final island in Deathmatch Island. If you haven't seen the earlier episodes, we are on a game show deathmatch island. I mean, it's all in the name, really. I mean, it's pretty clear. I play Calvin Chicken Rebel Summers, and then I have two nicknames. And I've been bucking the system since the beginning. We'll see how that pays off for me. I'm Sean. I use he, him pronouns. Calvin, my character, also uses he, him pronouns. And I'm super jazzed to play. As a reminder to everyone watching, proceeds from the channel are split between Black Lives Matter and the Trans Legal Defense and Education Fund. And so any buttons, subscribes, or cheers or anything you send our way, we'll go there. So if you want to do with that, that's great. How about you, Karen?
Hello, I'm Karen 12s, at K12s on the internet in places. I'm playing Willow War Dog Snow, who has kept her nickname the whole time. And should probably get around it.
As you should.
She kind of made a secret alliance with somebody else that was just down to the two of them. And I feel like it might be time to tell her teammates about that little alliance. How's it going, Mendez?
Hey, what's good? I'm James Mendez Hodes. I use he, him pronouns. I'm playing Diana Gandhi Dankworth, who uses she, her pronouns, who started this out thinking she was going on a spin-off of the popular dating show Match Island, and is hoping going into the final island to finally maybe actually find love.
Maybe.
Yeah. Or at least a first date.
I hope it's
maybe
there
not
for her.
love. Yeah. Also, I forgot to turn off my laundry machine. Hold on.
Okay. How about you, Tim?
I'm Tim Dene. I use he, him pronouns, and you can find me on Twitter at Old Dog Games. I've been posting up some little picture infographic comic recaps of the series so far, so if you want to catch up to speed, you can find that there on Twitter. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Those infographics are so good, Tim.
So good.
I just die every time I read them. I'm like, that's us. That's a thing. It looks like it's supposed to be a "don't walk here, slippery when wet" kind of. It's that art style.
Sort of WikiHow aesthetic.
Yeah,
very WikiHow. Yeah,
I did notice the self-defense guy meme on the last one.
I'm glad you noticed the knife.
I need you to know I noticed.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah,
that's
all-time great.
So
you can check that out there. And tonight we are playing Deathmatch Island, which is a game I have been working on. It uses the Paragon system from Agon, and we are sort of playtesting it. And tonight is Island 3. This is going to be the end game. This is the final of the season, one way or another. And we will find out what happens. I don't think we need to recap last island too much. We did a whole island in one session. The upshot is 6 competitors are left alive. There are the 3 player competitors and 3 named NPCs who are Beckett, an intruder, and Quincy, a veterinarian who wants to get home, and Abthorpe, a police officer. So those are our 6 surviving competitors. They're currently the 3 player competitors are on the boat headed to Island 3. We did some between island stuff last time, but the thing we didn't get to was the trust building and flashbacks. So I guess we'll just pick up there.
Yeah, let's get to that now.
Cool. So on the screen you will find the intimate conversation prompts, the trust building exercise.
Nice.
So just like last time, you're going to end up with 1 trust with each of the other player competitors. And you're just going to take turns asking someone else a question, any question. They will answer by way of a flashback, a memory of their life before the islands, before the game. There's going to be another flashback before the end of the session. So you're going to have 3 flashbacks total. We've had 1. This is number 2. There's going to be a 3rd. So you don't have to explain everything in this particular flashback, but you could think of it as a sort of beginning, middle, and end And just a reminder that this, you want to answer the question, but a good way to sort of give yourself some inspiration is to look at your initial motivation. And you can use this to kind of explain sort of to yourself why you would have woken up with that motivation. That can be one way to sort of frame this. You might also want to start looking at, you might want to foreshadow like the decision they might make at the end. Like, is there a reason they really want to win this and get home? Is there a reason they might need the money? Is there someone waiting for them back home, or a pet or something they want to get back to? Just this is a chance to kind of show a bit more about who they are and why they might do the things they'll do.
So are we asking, are the prompts self-directed, or are we asking them of another person?
You are asking them of another person. So as soon as whoever wants to go first, just pick another character and ask them one of the questions.
And last time, the way we answered this was that you answer it, but in the form of a flashback to your character's life.
That's
beforehand.
right.
So you're not playing or saying it out loud. Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember what order we went last time?
Yeah, I can't remember who asked what, but I think we went Calvin, then Willow, then Diana.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go in the other direction.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds good.
Great.
So someone needs to ask Diana a question. Then.
Willow, tell me about your last vacation. Where did you go, and what exciting activity did you do?
My last vacation. I want to say it was definitely Knott's Berry Farm.
Oh.
And yeah, so Willow went to Knott's Berry Farm, and I, Karen Twelves, have never been, but I do know that something that is featured at Knott's Berry Farm is a lot of berry forward foods, and I believe. In reality, maybe not, but definitely in this game, there is a passport to go to every food vendor to try the various berry forward foods. And that is Willow's goal, is that she's going to hit all of them in one day. And she does. And she has so much regret for about 3 days of indigestion after that. So it was both like, she was so proud of doing that, and like timing it out and like planning where to go and like making sure she didn't hit one while it was closed, and like still going on a ride or something maybe, but like she was there for the berries. And but then she was so ill afterwards. So she didn't end up telling a lot of people about her big achievement because she was kind of embarrassed by how sick she was afterwards.
Fantastic. So mark trust with each other, and then Willow, you can mark that down as an advantage on your advantage list. So you can, because you have this memory now, you can recall that memory before a contest, and in some way it might give you some advantage, that flashback.
Right.
How exactly?
I'm marking the advantage 8 through Knott's Berry Farm.
Perfect.
Oh.
And I think the camera sees.
I was thinking berry discerning.
Yeah.
The camera sees one of these berry dishes. There's like a boysenberry like sauce on top or something, and it's eerily similar. I don't know if you remember, but you found that water cooler with the black slime inside. It's like the exact same consistency.
Wait, we found a water cooler with black slime inside? When was that?
We did, yeah.
Island 1, you did, yeah.
It was the first redacted site we broke into.
Okay.
None of you interacted with the water cooler, but it was there.
We should have. Man, missed out on that.
Maybe it was not blackberry. No, it was not black slime. It was boysenberry sauce. Who knows?
Yeah, there was a lot going on that first island. We were picking up on everything. So I'll ask Calvin a question then.
Sure.
I had a good one. Why is there a gap in your employment, and what did you learn from that time?
Wow, that's like just so freaking perfect. Thank you. I love that question.
Yeah, because presumably this would be the gap before you then went to work at the
factory.
Deathmatch Island factory.
Yeah, I think that's So I think we see a sort of a successive montage rather than a single scene, a successive montage of Calvin working various blue collar jobs and being and having either shouting matches or storming out scenes with bosses who violated OSHA, who fired people based off of discriminatory reasons, and I think we see Calvin either walking out in solidarity or himself being fired for not towing the line. And there's like a successive like scene of like 5 instances of Calvin working a job and getting canned. All of them either like factory work or manual labor, construction. Um, uh, and then after one of them, after the last one happens, we see Calvin's say older sister be like, "You just need to stop and take a break. Why don't you come run a Tough Mudder with me, and we can train for that, and you can live at my house for a while and train for that." And thus why Calvin is so good at challenge beast things is time he spent with his older sister, prepping for a mutter.
Fantastic.
How did he do on the mutter?
Good question.
Well, everyone gets. This is a bit of inside baseball because I have run one. So you have the choice of being, if you go in the first hour, you're competing, and if you go any other time, you are not competing. So meaning they don't time anyone who doesn't start in the first hour. Everyone else just, you get over the thing and they don't tell you your time. I think Calvin went with his sister who was competing because she was like a regular and like sponsored and whatnot, and she got in a time, and he did. He was. We see him like there's this big skate ramp wall at the end where you just have to run up it and jump and grab the ledge, and then someone up there will like help you. And I think we see his sister who's already gotten through it helping him up, and like one of the judges is like clicking the time, like he just got in under time, like he got it in under time, like within the time cutoff before they say, "Oh, we stopped counting at this point," which for someone's first run is great. It's a great first run.
Nice. Yeah.
I
so note
certainly
that down.
did not get it in time when I did it.
Note that down as an advantage, and you each mark trust with each other.
Nice. Trust with Willow. And
I think to cut back, the last boss you worked for, you can't really imagine this on if this was a TV show because you don't have smells, but we don't have those constraints. So this boss has the same cologne or perfume as you smelt in the VIP room. I don't know if you remember that, but the vaguely unsettling, almost purposefully offensive scent.
Man.
Musky. Yeah.
Yep. And I did actually load up a little bit of these songs. I'll just play as Calvin is competing in the Tough Mudder. We just get a little bit of that coming through.
You get your favorite song?
Yeah, getting a little pat. It is pretty soft. If you want to turn it up, you can. And Diana, tell me about a time you broke the law.
Ooh.
Oh. I think... so we see Diana in court, and she is testifying about some awful thing that her PMC did. And it wasn't like a full like Halliburton, but it was something that was still bad, and which contravenes the laws about what PMCs are and are not allowed to do, which are relatively like clearly defined by these certain like conventions that have existed for a while. But they did something that was it wasn't a it wasn't like a war crime, but it was definitely like against the rules. Like they conducted an operation outside of their jurisdiction in a way that violated international law. That's not the law that Diana broke because she wasn't on that operation. However, she was in the office while they were talking about it. So on the stand, you see Diana attributing responsibility for that operation to another commander in the organization who had actually committed war crimes but did not get caught for them. So she committed perjury to attribute that misdeed to a guy who didn't do it because she knew that he'd committed a bunch of other misdeeds and she thought that he should go up the river for it.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice. Did it work? Did he take the fall? Or do we not know?
Yeah. Yes, I mean guys like that never they always find ways out.
Yeah.
I think he did some time, but then probably got like paroled for good behavior due to bribery or whatever.
Yeah.
So he didn't get hit as hard as Diana wanted him to, but it was much worse than nothing at all, which was the thing that was going to happen otherwise.
Sorry to like be all for the queen here, but I have to ask one more question. Did she make like a forever enemy out of him by doing this? Like, does he loathe her to this day because she perjured and said he did it?
He must, right?
Yes, but she got enough other people within the PMC to do the same thing that
Nice.
it kind of diffused the blame from any one of them. Like it was Diana's idea. Like maybe Diana and like one other person, like it was their brainchild, but they got like this guy was so universally hated that
Nice.
they got lots of people in on it so that none of them was like just the individual targets. So if he wants to hunt people down, he can do it. It's just a long list.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a surname for this off the top of your head for this character?
Let's see. Applegate. Actually, no, it's too close to Apthorpe. Let's see. Welch.
Great. And distinguishing feature? Hairstyle,
Welch.
hair color, I don't know, something.
A great deal of cosmetic surgery.
Like an uncanny amount.
Like an uncanny, like he could have stopped after one or two and it would have been fine and he just would have looked like someone on a K-drama, but like he just went way too far.
He just has a lot of fillers.
Yeah, just like he's got like that like kind of plasticky, is this a real person or are you standing too close to one of Madame Tussauds wax sculptures kind of look.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And in court, Welch has, a little lapel pin, and it is orange, and it's like half the Deathmatch Island logo, so it's just the globe. So it's just a little globe pin. It doesn't have the skull. It's not the full logo, but but there's something there. Great. So you should all have one trust with each other, and note down, an advantage each.
Great.
How you use, again, so when you use that advantage, it's like before a contest, your character flashes back to this flashback and that memory in some way. They sort of get something out of that will help them through the contest. Cool. Okay, so that's all the Between Islands stuff. Just as a reminder, so what kind of injuries do you all have and what are you currently wearing? We can start with Calvin. Notable injuries, I mean.
Calvin's notable injuries are a gunshot to the back that is still like needing bandages. Like I think we still see like say his right shoulder or whatnot when the camera catches it that there that there's that the rags around it are soaked, and also shrapnel in his leg, and he's currently wearing an Argyle vest, an Argyle pullover vest, and brown slacks and brown dress shoes. No, I think I did put on dress shoes because I was set, but I was like, no, I got running around, tromping around. So he's still got his like
That's right.
overall original sort of standard, not combat boots, but like work duty boots that he had to start with. But
Kind of imagining,
yeah,
is that
it
sort of
looks
his vibe in,
somewhat professorial.
yeah, or I'm sort of thinking 500 Days of Summer. Wasn't he wearing vests and things in that movie? Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I mean.
I think,
Or maybe I'm
very
thinking,
possibly, yeah.
yeah. Great, what about Willow? What's
Now
Willow
I'm having
wearing?
it.
And
He did.
Willow has a broken arm.
Hmm.
She got it run over, and but she's wearing dress slacks, a dress shirt, and I think it was a dark red velvet, like fancy jacket.
like a dinner jacket.
But I'm guessing that she only has it over one shoulder because she probably used the remnants of the salmon colored jumpsuit to make a sling for her arm.
Great. And finally, Diana, what sort of injuries and clothing?
Diana has a cracked rib, which is not super visible under her clothing, but she's definitely moving very carefully and gingerly. And she's wearing the like jumpsuit thing with a it's like a kente cloth worn over it. And normally it's just worn like by itself off the shoulder, but she's wearing it over this thing because it's warmer.
Cool.
Yeah.
So after a few days of this, you come into sight of Island 3. If you want to move over to the map, Sean. So again, you don't know what direction you've been traveling in, but it has been getting colder and colder, sort of polar, like you see like ice flows in the distance. You have blankets and stuff on the boat, heat pads and whatnot. But yeah, it is very cold. And Island 3 is sort of an unusual shape. It's kind of this crescent shape. So on the outer edge as you approach, it's all like sheer cliffs. But when you come around the side, and it's got kind of an inner bay, and as you pull the boat around and see the inner bay, you see two things. One is the smaller island in the middle of the bay that's got a huge concrete like stadium dominating the center of it. That's the end game stadium. But then dotted around the edge of the inner bay, it's all very, like, again, it's sort of a polar climate, but it seems like this island has its own anomalous warm climate because it's all lush green growth and neat green lawns and peacocks and little villages. And it's all very sort of quaint and colonial. And there are 10 little docks along the bay, and you have instructions on the boat. And the instructions are that each competitor must disembark individually, and each competitor chooses one of the 10 nodes to land at, and only one competitor may land at each. The non-player competitors, Quincy and Beckett and Abthorpe, they're not in your boat. So they could land at the same node as you. You'll find out when you get there if one of them is at one of these places. But basically, you each pick one and you go to a different place. Then once you're done, there are rowboats along the shore, and so you'll get into a rowboat and row to the end game where you all meet back up. So you're going to go your separate ways. So if you each want to go to the same node, you can roll a social game to see who who persuades the other to let them, but I'm sure we can
Right.
work it out.
So all of the NPCs, I think, told each of us individually, like, meet me at the something, because Quincy told Willow, meet me at the village.
Yep.
I know someone
Yeah.
else was supposed to go to the sphere, maybe.
I was supposed to go to the. Oh no, it was the sphere,
That's right.
not the big wheel.
It was the sphere. Yeah. You can go to the big wheel if you want. You don't have to do what those characters ask you to do.
I don't
Yes.
remember if Abthorpe had a location. I can't.
No, Abthorpe did not
Oh, he
arrange a
didn't.
secret
Okay, I was
secret
just
liaison with
asking.
Calvin.
I wanted to take a moment to do before we like drop ourselves off for Willow to kind of talk about how we're imagining this end game, because we all know that there's there's just supposed to be one person left alive. That seems a little grim after all we've been through. So I think she was going to kind of raise the idea of maybe not doing that. And kind of says, what if we didn't all try to kill each other? Just throwing that out there.
I'd really rather not
I'd rather not too.
kill or be killed.
Quincy and I had kind of had a talk about having each other's backs a little while ago, but that was, when there were all of us, and so that was very inclusive to having each other's teams' backs. But I don't really like the idea of of, of Quincy killing you and then me, because I can't fight Quincy. That's not gonna. I don't have a chance here.
I think Quincy would have my back under any of this. I don't think she trusts me. I think she thinks I work for production.
I mean, she barely trusts me.
I don't think she ever intended.
If I were so lucky
Yeah.
as to actually look around and then it was Quincy and me still standing, I don't think it would be Quincy and me for much longer. I think it would be Quincy. I think I'd rather find a way if maybe more of us could not die. Diana, does that
So do you think we have to kill Quincy
with you?
and Al?
I think maybe we can convince him not to.
Diana, Diana takes out a piece of paper, and starts like writing on it. And I think she just writes like one line in like really, really like messy cursive, in the hopes that y'all will be able to read it, but nobody else will, saying,
That the cameras won't pick it up?
yeah. And it says, it says, we're not going to kill each other, but for the cameras, we have to act like it. So Diana essentially wants everybody to like come together in the end game, and like sort of present a united front against production, but she doesn't want to do that until like the last moment.
Okay.
Who do you hand this to first? Do you hand it to Willow and then she hands it to Calvin?
I think she
only one of us read it at a time, passing them around.
I think she shows it to both of you, like kind of both of you at the same time. So if someone reaches out and takes it first, then you'll be the first one.
I get it.
Okay.
After Willow has read it, so I don't want to prevent Willow from reading it. After Willow's read it, Calvin would crumple it up and overboard into the water before we got to sea. And she'd be like, "Well, find it." And does his best to look like he's angry at you. Like, no, it's every person for themselves.
Dan is like, I tried.
All right.
No, I'm the only one taking this seriously.
Awkward boat ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
Do you all know where you want to go? I think I know where I want to go.
Yes.
I think I'm going to meet Quincy at the village.
Okay.
I'm going to meet Beckett at the Sphere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go to the castle.
Oh. Interesting.
Man, you guys both went to redacted areas. You're going to have all the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if I can, I will.
You will what?
I break the system. I mean, I will get those followers by bucking the system, which I'm sure production actually secretly wants.
Yeah, totally. Why don't we start with Willow at the village? So you land at the village. This is a sort of quaint colonial seaside village. It's got that sort of weird mismatch between sort of like English colonial architecture with this humid tropical heat. And it's like these buildings weren't really designed for this kind of environment, but here we are. Neatly clipped lawns, hedges. There's a bit of statuary, marble statues. There's a peacock wandering around.
Just completing the British Raj vibes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man.
Again, very hot. And as you make your way through this town, it's completely abandoned. There's no one around. Unlike some of the other abandoned villages you've been in, it's not like all shot up in like a paintball environment. This is more like this was a village and then everyone left. And you make your way through, and then she's not hiding or anything, but the town sort of converges in the middle on a little church with a spire, and sitting up at the top of the bell tower is Quincy. She has a sniper rifle. It's not like pointed at you, but she has it in her hands.
Yeah. Great.
And
awesome.
I mean, you see each other. She's not hiding. She kind of raises her hand and says, Willow, glad you came. What? You ready to play?
I guess.
Yeah,
you?
Look, I mean, I don't like any of this, but I mean, I know enough about Abthorpe now, and maybe your friend Calvin. I reckon they're going to try and blow this thing up, but it's fine if they want to do it, but none of us will get out alive that way. We don't know where we are. I don't see any way out of here. I've got a family back home, and at least one of us can get home if we win this thing, and then they can stop it from the outside. You know, they can get the money, they can find people who can stop it. It's the only guaranteed way to get home. So I just think maybe it doesn't even matter if it's not me, but someone should get back. Because if we sacrifice ourselves to destroy this thing, then what?
I mean, we got here on a boat.
Yeah, but I don't know about you, but I don't remember anything about the voyage. And I mean, I'm no sailor, but those are little outboard motors. And I haven't seen any other land masses.
I'm sure we can find some information. I mean, have you looked around the other islands? There's stuff. They're not even doing kind of a good job of hiding it.
She kind of sighs and says, "Look, if you want to join in with them, I won't stop you. But I aim to win this thing, and I don't know. If you're going to go the other way, we can have it out now, or we can wait and see what happens."
I just think we'll all be stronger together.
Yeah, and I just we came in with 600 competitors, and they're all dead now, and there's 6 of us left. And I just think, what's 5 more? If we just get back, we can stop it.
What do you think they do with all the bodies?
It's a good question.
Will was just like thinking about that number. Like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. I don't know if you tried the food, but maybe
That's like war crimes level of people.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, so I think Willow just kind of sits there in silence and isn't really sure like where do we go from here. And she's a little worried about showing her back to Quincy.
when it becomes clear that you're not going to come around to her way of thinking, she'll stand up as though to leave. She kind of gestures to a little house to your right. And she says, "There's another rifle in there. You should take it one way or another." And then she goes down the tower and you lose sight of her. And I think that's the last time you see her for now. And if you check that building, there is a sniper rifle in there, just like the one she was holding.
Nice.
And one lot of survival gear.
Oh, cool. Oh, well, I'm already full up on survival.
You're maxed out?
Maxed out on survival gear. I got all the hand pocket warmers I need.
Yeah,
I
well.
I feel like when she has the rifle,
yeah.
I want to have Willow like just for a second just line up a shot on Quincy until
Okay.
Quincy goes like over a hill.
You don't take the shot, I presume.
No.
Okay, I like that.
No, she thinks about it, but then she chickens out.
Perfect. Let's move over to Diana. So Diana, you went towards the sphere, and as you get off the boat at this neat little dock, just above the beach is this large, neat green lawn, and dominating it is a huge sphere made of bright white fabric. It's like a radome. I don't know if you're familiar with these, but if you Google radome, Radome, it's like a giant. I think they're actually like a satellite dish covered in white fabric. Basically, look like giants.
yeah, with the geodesic.
Yeah.
Is this one just smooth?
It's just smooth. And it's not actually one of these, but that's kind of the vibe. Just a giant white orb of fabric. And there's a little tunnel of clear plastic that leads to an entry flap. And
all right.
Yeah,
well, nowhere else to go.
It's a blue sky. Yeah, as you approach, a bit.
Yeah, I'll scout the perimeter and then go in.
Great. As you start to scout around and get a bit closer, this immaculate white orb is reflecting the bright sun. It's almost too bright to look at, and you feel this pounding in your head. And as you get closer to the orb, you're getting these random flashes of memory, just little snatches. And as you get closer, you see Beckett waiting for you. Oh, I forgot to say, Quincy was wearing just a straight black tuxedo, just for the record.
Nice.
Bow tie. Classic. You see Beckett. They are waiting for you at the entry flap. You're about 100 meters away or something, close enough to talk, but at some distance. And Beckett is also wearing a tuxedo, but theirs is purple, like their intruder uniform was.
Fascinating.
And they see you, and they wave, and they call out before you can get any closer. And they seem pleased to see you, but they say, "I'll follow you to the end, but I believe in you, Diana, and I wasn't lying about sailing away from here. You play to win, and I'll see you on the other side." and he holds up a rose and puts it down by the entrance to the orb, and then he steps into the orb and disappears.
You're in there.
All right. I go after him. I pick up the rose.
All right. You have a second rose. Do you still have your first rose?
Oh yeah, I still have it.
All right.
Yeah.
You have another rose.
All right.
I love all the trials we've endured and like the physical challenges and whatnot, and you've kept the rose the whole time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, we never figured out why Beckett and their group willingly joined.
Yeah, that's right. Still a lot you don't know about them.
All right.
So if you want to enter the sphere, so that's going to be a redacted contest. The obstacle here is subconscious programming. Again, you've got this pounding headache, flashes of memory. There is some part of your subconscious that does not want you to enter the sphere. So this is sort of a mental battle. Subconscious programming, subliminal triggers, and there's some sensory stimuli like colors and noises going on.
Fascinating.
I will roll that now. This contest is dangerous. Yeah, again, because it's redacted, you can only use redacted acquisitions.
Oh, hey.
It's a 10.
That's not too bad.
All right.
Let's do it.
That tells me that the danger level on this island is 6.
Yeah, right. It's a high danger island.
All right. Mm-hmm. So
what's that?
Target number of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely. I think Gandhi is super relevant. Let's see. Add another capability. Yeah, sure. I will bring in Deathmatch. Specifically for my training in resisting interrogation. And psyops.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna bring in a redacted acquisition. We can't use redacted acquisitions on non-redacted stuff, right?
Not unless you spend fatigue to bring in your redacted capability. Mm-hmm. So basically, not really.
Okay. All right, so I'll spend my biggest redacted acquisition at this point.
Great. Is that a 3? Tier 3?
Yeah, a level 3.
Cool.
Yeah.
What was that? Was that the flying guillotine?
Yeah.
No.
Is that like a... What is that?
The flying guillotine is a weapon from... it's a weapon from... a very specific, ridiculous series of wuxia films.
Cool.
But it's basically like it's a bag, or it's a saw blade on a chain that you throw. The saw blade drops over someone's head, and then you pull the chain, and it cinches the saw blade closed to cut off the person's head and keep it in the bag.
Nice.
And an alarming number of people think that's a real weapon and not just from this really silly, kind of offensive series of wuxia movies.
But you have one.
Yeah, so what Diana does with it is she actually puts it over her own head.
Oh, wow, okay.
And
damn.
So it's like if anybody like grabbed the chain, they would be able to like pull it and cut her head off. But kind of like a tinfoil hat, it helps her like block out the subliminal messages or something like that. It's unclear. Mm-hmm. Either that or she's just really convinced this is totally going to work. So that's a level 3 acquisition.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Great.
Hardcore use of...
Yeah. I'm spending a fatigue there. Oh wait, I spent that wrong. Hold on. Redacted, target number 10, nickname die, adding Deathmatch capability. No advantages. Spend acquisitions 3. All right. Hitting submit.
You got this. Yeah, no problem. There we go.
Whoa,
Holy
22.
fuck.
Good lord.
Okay.
Nice.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a 10 on your D10 and an 8 on
Where
your.
are
That's
these
incredible.
dice when I actually needed them? Fine. Okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
basically
so
maxed out on your highest dice here.
Yeah.
Amazing.
yeah, so how does it go? I mean, you completely breezed past it, basically.
Yeah, so like Diana actually doesn't perceive anything because she's got the bag over her head. So from Diana's perspective, it's just like kind of like clomp clomp bang, hand against the wall, like following this like weird maze like thing. And then I think the last thing that happens is somebody else, she feels someone else reach out and take the bag, the flying
Oh, I like it.
guillotine off.
Hmm.
Yeah, and when that happens, you find yourself in basically like infinite white space. You're inside the sphere, but you can't see. You don't see another person, and you don't see anything. You're just in an infinite white space. You can look down and see yourself. Now, I'm going to ask you another flashback question. This is a
Right.
bonus flashback. This is about a repressed memory. I'm going to choose this question off a list based on some of the
Cool.
stuff that has happened so far. And my question is, you remember a sphere just like this from when you were a child.
Hmm.
I don't just mean like a radome sphere, but specifically one of these weird Deathmatch Island spheres. Tell us about that memory.
It's Diana with her grandfather. So he's got a he's got a British accent that kind of it kind of jumps around all over the place between like posh and lower class, as if he's like been around very different people at different times of his life. And yeah, so it's Diana as a little girl, and this guy is he's like kind of guiding her through something, and she's like, you see her like wandering around in the sphere, and she's like, I don't see anything yet, and you hear his voice saying like, be patient, it's a surprise, just keep walking forward. And then he's like, okay, can you see it? And she's like, yeah, I can see it. And in Diana's vision, there's like an elaborate there's like a ballroom, or like a solarium with like an elaborate tea service. And there's like this whole fancy tea party with like people dressed like, Disney princes and princesses, and like anthropomorphic cute talking animals. And she's like, this is amazing. It's like, it's just like I imagined. And her grandfather's like, perfect, just so keep doing what you're doing, just like sit down, have some tea, have some biscuits. And she does, and she's having this wonderful time, like having this imaginary tea party that feels so real.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So note that down as another advantage.
Nice.
This,
Yeah.
I don't know what you call that, grandfather tea party.
Yeah.
Also, mark down 1 trust with production.
Okay.
You also get a tier 3 acquisition, which
Alright.
is a letter. Now, if you look
Okay.
at this letter, it is a letter in your grandfather's handwriting, and it is instructions and directions. And instructions and directions to what we'll find out when you use it, but it
All right.
is
It's a redacted
inside,
acquisition.
yeah, tier 3.
Okay.
It's inside baseball about how to go somewhere or do something. That will be very useful at some stage, I'm sure. And it ends with, again, grandfather's handwriting. It ends simply saying, "Die, you must remember, you have to play to win." And have to is underlined. And let's cut over to Calvin at the castle. Last one.
The castle. Bit of bookkeeping. Diana should get 100,000 followers, right?
Oh yes, good.
Yeah.
Good point. Yep.
Yeah, Diana's killing it on the followers.
7.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yep. Well.
All right.
So the castle sits on a low hill at the base of these mountains. It's a bit further back from the beach. It's all made of red brick. So it's called a castle, but it's really like a sort of 19th century massive red brick building. A lot of chimneys on a slate roof. Weirdly, it's almost windowless. So it's got this look of a sort of 19th century brick manor house, but no windows, just featureless walls. There's a couple of very small windows at the very top. And the only entrance is one red door. Now, if you want to get in, this will red. One Deathmatch Island orange red door.
Oh, one red door.
One red door.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to get in, this will be a contest against your old friends, the Incident Response Unit, who will try and stop you. These are the people in the gas masks with the rifles.
Yeah, I don't have a uniform to walk amongst them. I think Calvin looks at it and is like, "That's not a castle. That's a factory. Plain red brick walls, no windows, slate roofs. I bet you they're there's one door at the front, but I'm sure there's other ways to get there. So I will compete in this contest against the response unit.
Great.
I'm gonna probably bring in some snake mode to sneak myself around. We'll see. What again? Oh,
14.
And it's dangerous.
It is dangerous.
Excellent.
Yep.
Just roll a 22. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's easy.
I know. All I need to do is just like kill it,
just win it.
Like Diana, and no problem. Just win it. Just so this is that challenge. I think when they come, I am going to run away. Well, I'll explain how we'll explain how it works in a while. But I'm definitely bringing a chicken as a.
Oh no!
Great. I mean, you could bring them both, right?
Both
nicknames.
I can. I'm going
Rebel.
to. Yeah.
Rebel definitely suits.
I feel like Rebel is entirely. And let's see. I think I said I was going to bring in Snake Bow. That feels right. Actually, no. I'm going to bring in Challenge Beast, and we'll make sense of that in a second. Other dice, no, and spend acquisitions 2. Okay. So let's see how this rolls. We spend the fatigue.
Hey, there you go. 16.
Hey.
It's great.
Okay.
It's the tough matter.
So I think the way it works is Calvin's coming up, and when the folks with gas masks start appearing, he, shots are fired, and he runs back out into like a more wooded area. And when they come chasing, that's when they run into the flamethrower trap that he's rigged up, as I'm using my level 2 redacted acquisition flamethrower. And there's this giant gout of flame that's like triggered by like a tripwire that he's run up. So he's not actually there using it, and so it's not super hard for them to, it's not like he's chasing after them. They can run away, but a couple of them are on fire and they're patting themselves down. And then we see Calvin on the wall, and he's climbing up the brick wall like one of these impossible challenges. And he's got you can just see like his fingers like digging into the little grooves between them, because I brought it in challenge mode. And digging in, and gets up to the windows and goes in through one of those top windows at the top.
Ah, fantastic! Yeah, and you roll inside, and once you're on the inside, you hear footsteps and running. So you're not sure how much time you have in here. You might need to sneak back out at some stage, but the interior is very, again, kind of old world colonial building. So a lot of wood paneling, thick red carpet. Everything smells of stale cigarette smoke. The carpet is that orange red Deathmatch Island color. And if you want, you can start looking in some rooms.
Yeah, I will. There's two bits that I'd like to do before I do that, though. One, can you uncheck my flamethrower? I still don't have rights to it.
Sure. That's really weird.
And two,
flamethrower.
I think I am not going to mark 140,000 followers. Does it start feeding out the thing?
Yeah,
I assume the wristwatch does. I chuck it out the window.
Yeah, the whole wristwatch.
So I'm refusing. I'm refusing the follower now. From here
on.
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
Great. I don't care. I've got as many followers as I do. Maybe I lose them all. Maybe I don't get to use my name die in the future. But I'm not accepting future. I'm blocking followers at this point. Yeah, and then I start exploring. Actually, I don't chuck it out the window. That's like doesn't have the gravitas of it. I take it off, and as it's like spitting out text, I put it down on like this big mahogany oak table, or this big mahogany table that's on this plush carpet, and let it just kind of spit out as I go into
just leave it.
Look through. Yeah, let it spit out.
Fantastic. So
I don't know what happens to your game when people stop getting followers. Sorry.
Well, we're close to the end, so I think it'll work out fine. The first few rooms, there's just a lot of meeting rooms, conference tables covered in manila folders and paperwork. The language is unintelligible. It's not like it's in a foreign language. It just seems to be in some kind of code. Like there's a cipher system or something. There are ashtrays overflowing with cigarettes, mugs of half-drunk black tea. And that is much of what you find. But after a while, you do find
pocket one of the encoded messages, because I do have a level 3 cryptic message, which might be some sort of cipher for one of these. So I think probably will be moot, but I'll just like grab one of those sheets to see if it can be decoded later.
Mark that as a tier 1 acquisition.
Oh,
redacted acquisition.
Nice.
Yeah.
And also, as you're looking through these papers, you find a classified map of Island 3, which I'll switch to now.
Ooh.
And it just contains the location of the archives, which are the 11th landing point to the east of the end game.
Let's see. Let's put that up for everybody else to see.
Very cool.
It's this location. Secret Island. Tim, your art for this game is just ridiculous. Chekhov's flamethrower strikes again. Thank you, Colin. Yes. I was looking away from chat, but that flamethrower had to be put to use.
Also, in like an emergency box on the wall is one of the FAMAS assault rifles, so you can take that.
All right. I will do that.
Those are useful.
Yeah, they have proven to be, yeah.
In the next room over, you find an orange tiled room, and it's filled with glass tubes. Each tube has a piece of cardboard hanging from it on a piece of string, with a name printed on it. You recognize some of these names. You find your own name on one of these, one tube, one piece of cardboard. And each tube is full of buzzing black flies. And if you took the time to count, there are a number of flies in each tube equivalent to the number of followers. So currently there's only 6 tubes with followers, which are U6.
Yeah.
Flies.
And there are a lot of flies.
That's a lot. Yeah, I don't think I could count.
That's hundreds of thousands of flies. That's so many. It's too many. That's too many flies.
Wait,
that's a lot of flies.
There are live flies in the tubes.
Yeah, and I think as Calvin is watching Diana gets her new followers from the sphere thing, and you see, thousands of flies into this tube.
I have a question. Like, not that Diana knows this, but are any of the flies dead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all the tubes of the dead competitors, all the flies are just in a big crunchy pile at the bottom of each tube.
What about?
So there's got to be. Yeah,
that's fucked up.
And then if you,
I mean, I'm glad. Like, I guess they're probably black soldier flies. I mean, I'm glad they're composting. But
yeah,
and
I think I tap on the window, but I tap on the tube. But I'm not overly I'm not like free the flies, I'm gonna keep going on it.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens.
Yeah, I think see what happens exactly. You push through that tiled room perhaps, and in the next room there are 2 things. One is an exit, and you can hear footsteps behind you, so it might be time to get going soon. This is sort of the back of the castle, but the other thing you find, there seems to be. There are video monitors, there are VHS cassettes, there's about 6 CRT monitors, and they are playing footage. And the labels on the tapes make it clear. Each of them says break the game, and then they're numbered with a season number. So this is footage of competitors trying to break the game. And if you spend a few moments watching this footage, you see people blowing up reactors or killing the host, or killing these incident response units who you've been dealing with.
Yeah.
But if Calvin takes a moment to watch all this, you will see that there's no escape. None of these people got out of here. They did damage, but they didn't leave. Now, what Calvin makes of that, it's up to you. But
yeah. I think at one point Calvin's watched a couple of them. We get the same kind of montage of the same thing like this flashback. It was 5 endings of his jobs. It's 5 endings of Deathmatch Island as people try to break it, and every time it fails. It got through, and Calvin pops out one of the cassettes, and he just kind of looks. He flips it upside down, the VHS cassette, and he just kind of looks at the inside, where the reel is kind of in there, and pushes the little button on the side of it that lets you flap it up, even though it's not in the cassette, because normally you would enter it, and just kind of looks at the fiche for a second, and then snaps it closed and drops it on the as though he's evaluating something that we can't see on camera.
Cool.
And then just drops it back on the pile.
And the final thing you should take here, because you've watched this footage and because perhaps of whatever you just saw that the camera didn't see, you should mark a special advance. So these are the advances down the bottom. So those are, you can choose that when you support or bolster, the die you give counts as 1 size larger. You could immediately heal 1 injury. If that heals a notable injury, you can just keep the advance. You don't have to give it back. Or you could increase your redacted capability 1 die size.
When I support or bolster, the die size is 1 larger. Okay. So that means the folks and try to get D12 instead of D10.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
I think in the chat, Quaid is right that your follower count is going crazy at this time. Unbeknownst to you, we just get a shot of it on that table, and it's just spitting out paper.
It's just spitting out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy for the watch to run until it runs out of feed. Yeah.
Cool. And then,
Very cool.
you get a certain amount of time. You have to escape from the castle. A happy jingle plays, and it is time to go to your boat to progress to the in-game stadium. These boats are automated. Maybe they're even like swan boats. They just have a big red button, and you push it, and it just starts like motoring towards the end game.
Nice. They really want to funnel us at the end.
Exactly. Yeah. No room for error.
Karen, I just saw your post. You're convinced that the flies are the followers. It would make a lot of sense.
They pick what tube they want to go in.
Yeah.
Think about it. Cool, which takes us to the end game arena. Let's move the map over.
Oh my god. More. Let me pull that back. I was just like, oh, we don't need to snap anymore. But yes, we do.
So this is the island. There's sort of an outer circle, an inner circle. It's a big concrete stadium on an island. You're each going to land at a different entry point, and then at some point you will meet back up for whatever happen next happens. Beckett is actually gone, so I'm going to delete that one.
The final
so what
five.
Are we? 420. Yeah. So there's a little bit of like pre-end game procedure. So maybe we should go through that, and then we could take a break before the end game itself. How does that sound?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. So at this stage, we complete a third and final round of jury votes for each of you. So why don't we start with Kelvin, since we just saw his action. I'm going to give him Outsmart, because I feel like dropping the follower counter was a sort of galaxy brain maneuver.
I'll go without Brave. I think going in there without any backup against armed opposition was pretty brave.
Yeah, I'll go with Outbrave as well. I think, sticking up to production, at any cost, especially going in all alone.
Cool. What do we do,
Awesome.
Willow, next?
Willow. I'd like to give Willow out talk. I think you really, really genuinely made the effort to win not only us but Quincy over, and I feel like you were like wholeheartedly like, let's not. Can we all not shoot each other? And I really hope that works. I really hope that plan works.
We'll see.
For all of us. But,
yeah, I'm going to go with out talk for the same reason.
Nice.
I think I'm going to give you out Brave for just walking up to the woman with a sniper rifle who had every reason to shoot you.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably should have taken care of Quincy.
Great.
Would have been
Diana,
I am
going
final circle.
Yeah.
Diana, I'm going to go with Outlast, just because I feel like we're seeing things from Diana's background that she seems, the most kind of at home with Deathmatch Island in a very literal, like, familial way.
I was thinking the same thing. I want to give you Outlast because I feel like you have there is some subliminal past memory, some preparation you've had that I think we're only finding out about now for being here.
I was going to give Outsmart, but kind of on the same thing. I think Diana's thinking, a couple steps further ahead than the rest of us. And definitely seems to see a bigger picture. So I would give a vote for Outsmart.
Perfect. Okay, and then finally, you each you're on the outer edge of this small island. Again, kind of steep, rocky hills around the perimeter. You can just see this big concrete stadium on the other side of these cliffs. Each of you come to your own individual entrance, which is a plain red-orange door set into this raw rock cliff face. And as you go to open the door, a long, dark hallway beckons you into the endgame arena. And as soon as you open that door, you each have one third and final flashback. So this is going to be your last flashback, last chance to show us a little something about who your character is, why they're going to do what they're about to do. And it could be a surprise, like you could show the opposite of what you're thinking you're about to do, or it could underscore what you're about to do. It could relate to the initial motivation, or it might not. Another thing you might want to show is like, do you have something back home to get back to? Do you have family or a pet, or do you need the money? I mean, one thing I want to say is that, sort of out of character, the prize isn't a lie. If you win the game, your character gets to go home with all the money. And I think your character on some level knows that. However, whatever weird logic, however they came to that conclusion.
I think Calvin had a direct moment where it was like $100,000. If you push this button, which was the first time he had sort of seen that sort of explicit offer.
So yeah, whoever wants to go first, it doesn't have to be a long flashback, just one final memory of their character.
Is it the same thing? Ask a question and
no questions.
No questions.
No questions. Just
no questions. Flashback of our choice.
Just vibes.
Just give us one final.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
I'm imagining Willow's had just a particularly tough day. I think that one of the people that she was a caretaker for passed away, and she, was there, holding their hand during that, and you see her kind of go through like paperwork and closing out her shift, taking the bus home, arriving in an empty apartment, warming up a TV dinner, sitting down in front of the TV, and she turns on turns on the TV, and there's a commercial, and it's very Deathmatch Island, but you don't see what it is, but you just hear like, have you ever wanted to win? And it's a pitch, and you just see her kind of watching it, and you see like the reflection of the Deathmatch logo kind of, in her eyes as she's watching this commercial.
Yeah, love it.
Love it.
Yeah, that's great.
I think I'm going to set myself up for maybe a bit of betrayal here. See one or the other. I think we see sometime after Calvin has been living with his older sister, and it's kind of clear that like he's outstayed his welcome. He's been living on the couch, and the coffee table's all covered in wrappers and whatnot. It's really time for him to move on. And she says, like where previously they were like really struggling together in this mutter, now she's really fed up with him. And she says, I've enough's enough. You need to get on. You need to get on with your life. I got you an interview. Clean up your act, and try not to mention why you lost your last 5 jobs. But I'm pretty confident they'll take you. And she hands me this. She hands me that like kind of folder where you put your resume and whatnot in it, and Calvin's holding it, and it doesn't have any branding on it, but it is full blank orange. It is just a full like Deathmatch Island orange. And she's like, here's your interviews tomorrow morning at 9. Don't be late. Ostensibly making it sound like she works there, like it's at the company she works for, I think.
Great. Then Diana finally.
Yeah. So you see Diana sitting in a very well appointed living room of, I don't know what Americans call townhouses. I don't know if they're called that elsewhere. But it's in New York City, and it's on 73rd Street and between Lexington and Park, and you see Diana and her soon-to-be ex-husband sitting on opposite sides of a table that's like covered with paperwork. And uh, Diana Diana looks across the table and says, like, "Don't you think we should have the lawyer here?" And her soon-to-be ex-husband, who's played by Kumail Nanjiani.
Great. Yeah. Is he beefy Kumail, or
kind of like in between Eternals and Welcome to, like, part way to Welcome to Chippendales, but dressed like the Welcome to Chippendales version of him. He has the glasses, but he's a pretty big guy. But he's saying, like, maybe for the next meeting, not this time. And Diana's like, okay. And they're like going through a bunch of financial things and splitting things up. And they're like, well, I mean, we could, there's some really great public schools in New York right now. I'm sure they could get into, a Brooklyn Tech or Bronx Science, or maybe not Stuyvesant, but, and then two little girls and one little boy run into the room and they're in like private school uniforms from like Collegiate and Spence, and they're like, we had such a good day at work, and like, oh, and I made the varsity basketball team, and like, I need to tell you about this new friend that I made, and they're just like gushing about how much they love this unnecessarily expensive private school. And you just see like both the parents are like, oh honey, that's wonderful, I'm so happy for you. And like, you could like, they look over at the paperwork and they're just kind of like, shoving it to the side. Some of it falls off the table. Yeah. And then, and one of them, the oldest, like puts down a bunch of brochures from colleges. And you see Diana like walk over and like flop down in front of the TV and like turn on Match Island.
Yeah, great. Now, nice. Gandhi was her maiden name, was that right? So Dankworth.
Yeah. So his name is
he's the Dankworth.
No, she's the Dankworth. He's the Indian guy is the Gandhi.
Gotcha. That makes more sense.
Yeah. From his grocery store empire.
Perfect. Okay. Final step before we get to the end game is you walk down this long hallway. You've had these flashbacks, these final memories. You pass hundreds of framed photos of past finalists. You're all finalists. They're all wearing different variations on the uniform. Each portrait is lit by a little downlight on a little like brass arm. And a small plaque beneath each one gives their name, nickname, and legacy in the game. And at the end of this long line of framed pictures, each of you in a different hallway, each of you come to your own portrait, which is the final one in the list. And again, it has your name, your nicknames, and it has your Deathmatch Island legacy, which is based on your jury votes. So we're going to find out whatever happens in the end game. We first find out how Deathmatch Island will remember you. So why don't we start with Calvin? So your top jury votes were what? Sorry, your top virtues.
My top jury votes are Outbrave is my top. I've got the most in top that, two. And then the next, nothing else is my top two. I'm tied for second place, so it's Outbrave, and then tied for second is Outsmart and Outlast.
Great. So Outbrave and Outsmart, you can choose from these lists, or you can make up your own. These are all slightly over the top because they're by production. So Outbrave and Outsmart, you can choose from things like Guardian or Commando or Fixer. And Outbrave and Outlast, is of the variety like conqueror, warrior, champion, that kind of thing.
Nice. I love these so much.
Some of these are straight from
They are
Aegon.
over the top. I mean, it's of my favorite thing in Agon is the fact that your name just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Under the auspices that production is choosing these, I'm going to choose champion out of that list.
Great. Do you want to put that in your notes section? Or something?
Yeah.
I'll put it somewhere, just remember. Great. So a picture of you in the salmon coveralls. You don't know when this photo was taken. And beneath that, it says Calvin Summers, Chicken, Rebel. I think it also has Judge and Zen. It has them all on there. And then underneath the big letters. Yeah. In big letters, it says champion. Champion.
Yeah.
Why don't we do Willow next? Willow, what are your top 2 virtues?
My top was Outtalk, and then the next one was Outlast.
Okay, so some options for that. Again, you can choose something different, but Hopebringer, Grifter, I don't think it's Willow, or Survivor.
I mean, I think we're going to have to go with Survivor.
Yep, I like that.
Which, might not be
That's
the
really
fanciest,
good.
but probably is.
I like Hopebringer. I feel like it's also like very appropriate to some of the things Willow's done recently, but Survivor is just through and through. Like that's so good.
I mean, Survivor is what Deathmatch Island would pick.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yes, right.
So again, picture of you says Willow Law, Willow Snow, War Dog, and then in big letters Survivor. And then finally, Diana, what are your top 2 virtues?
I am tied between Outbrave and Outlast.
Great. So I already pasted these in for Calvin, but that's the Conqueror, Warrior, Champion, sort of something in that space.
All right. I like Conqueror.
Yeah.
Mostly because it would be the one that would most upset Diana.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect. Again, so
yeah.
Diana Dankworth, Gandhi, in the big letters, Conqueror. And so you each come to another orange door at the end of this long hallway. You push past your portrait. And at this point, as you step into the outer arena and we come to the first stage of the end game, we won't do this right now, but I'll set it up so you can think about it while we have a little break. We're going to do what's called the standoff. This is kind of the most important decision in the whole game. And so do you want to bring up the Roll20 there, Sean? And so I'm going to deal you each 2 of these standoff cards.
Yeah.
If you open up your cards and click on that, scroll to the bottom, I think you'll see the standoff ones. So open up your little deck of cards if you click them.
Yeah.
And scroll to the bottom and you'll see you've got 2 standoff cards.
So if I go to it...
So if I click on this, will it show up for everybody?
Everyone's good.
You've all got the same cards, yep. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
If you double click each one, you can make them bigger for you. They're the same card, just with different things highlighted. So the one on the left should have play to win highlighted. The one on the right should have break the game highlighted. What you're going to do is you're going to drag one of these cards to the table on top of your card at the bottom. If you move the map down a little bit, Sean, you'll see them down the bottom of the Roll20 board. So you're going to drag one of those cards onto your portrait. And the choice is whether you want to play to win or break the game. If you all choose break the game, which means you want to break Deathmatch Island, you don't want to fight the other competitors. If you all choose that, then we go into the redacted end game, and it's basically a Agon-style battle, but it's against production, and you're going to try and blow up Deathmatch Island, I suppose, or stop this madness. But if at least one person chooses play to win, then we go into the standard end game, and that person gets an advantage die because the rest of you are expecting cooperation, so that person has the drop on you. because they're ready to take advantage of the fact that you're trying to work together.
Mm-hmm.
They're perfectly primed to stab you on the back. So even if just one person chooses play to win, they get an advantage in the standard end game, in the play to win end game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you all choose play to win, the advantages cancel out, so no one gets an advantage.
It
So
sounds like a dilemma production.
it is some kind of dilemma,
Yeah.
some kind of got it.
Nice. I
Now
love it.
we can think about this
All
for a
right.
bit. Two other things I would say, just to tee it up. One is the game is set up so you can play multiple seasons. You know, we're not about to go start a new season, but you could think about that as a future possibility, that this doesn't have to be the be all and end all, that your relatives, other people could come back to the game. Even the winner of the game could come back for a second season to blow this thing up. That's called new game plus mode, and in that mode, you start with higher redacted dice, and you kind of know about the whole setup as you come in. You come in undercover to destroy the game. So that's the new game plus season. The other thing I would say about that is any unused redacted acquisitions at the end of the game, we have a flashback, and those are on the starting boat. And so your next season characters get to carry over any redacted acquisitions,
Nice.
including any classified maps. So on the next season, the new characters, they get all the redacted stuff, which is hidden on the boat. They get the classified maps. They get all that. So don't worry about that going to waste. That's second factor. Third factor I'd say is, it's all in the game. I mean, you can speak for yourselves, but obviously player versus player conflict isn't something that comes up in these games very often, but I don't think anyone would be offended if anyone chooses to play to win. So just do what you think your character would do, and we'll play it out and see what happens. Any questions about that?
I'm so
I
excited.
have a logistical question. When we drag this card over, will it be face down or face up?
It'd be face down. It's very important that.
Okay. So we are free to drag their cards in. Yeah.
Yeah. Just make sure you know which card you're dragging in, because it's important. It's important you get that right.
Mm-hmm.
And just drag it in on top of, at the bottom of the board, your little portrait, just so I know which card is which person. But why don't we take a break there? You can think about it.
I have dragged my card.
Oh,
that was quick.
all right.
All right. Excellent, friends. We'll be in 5 to 7 to 8 minutes. And thanks, everyone, for we'll find out the will we